Hello and welcome to At the Redline Podcast. My name is Alec Gonzalez with Coaching the Redline. I coach salespeople. I have John Devine with me. We'll talk more about what you're doing in profession and sales and stuff like that. But kind of like to start at the beginning. What was life like growing up? What's your journey to adulthood?
Yeah, man. So I was born in Santa Barbara, California, 91. My mom was actually a drug addicted prostitute. And so life started weird for me right out the gate after my mom got pregnant and told my dad she was pregnant. Obviously, he was like, it might not be my kid, right? For good reason. And so he was like, yeah, okay, might not be mine. He split. Another guy my mom was with, who she got her drugs and stuff from, he ended up going down federally for cocaine and a bunch of other stuff. My mom went down with him. And so this was right after I was born. And so my grandfather took me from California to Kauai to live with my aunt, his other daughter, who I guess was doing a little better in life, but at the time was a heavy alcoholic, isn't anymore. Her husband was, same story. And so just a lot of substance abuse and physical abuse and stuff like that. From basically day one. I mean, I was conceived in a blur of cocaine and, sex addiction. So my life hasn't been normal at all. So that was like chapter one. My mom ended up getting on pre-release. And I grew up in Kauai, and that's rough when you're a little white kid, because Hawaiians are super racist to white people, if you don't know. And all the love to my Hawaiian family and my Hawaiian people, but Haole is the name of like the white man that ruins the land. And like the only home I ever knew was Hawaii. And so to me, I'm Hawaiian, right? But at school, all the Hawaiian kids let me know how white I was. I got beat up, I got bullied, I remember one time, the front of this tooth is fake. I was at a pep assembly and the kids grabbed my head and slammed my head into the concrete and busted my tooth out. And so these kids are like beating on me in the middle of this pep assembly. And I look up to the teacher, who you would expect to be helping you, but the teacher's Hawaiian. And the teacher just let them beat me up at like 6 years old, right? 7 years old. And so I never really felt at home. I didn't have a dad. My mom was in and out of the house all the time. I lived with my aunt. There was abuse there. I didn't feel welcome at school. I didn't feel welcome in Hawaii. I didn't feel, and so one thing my mom did that was good is she put me in martial arts as a young kid. I think right about the time I got whooped, at that pep assembly, she put me in martial arts. But I got kicked out of my first three martial arts schools for being disruptive and being a pain. And I ended up we moved to Montana shortly after this. And we moved to a small town called Stevensville, Montana. And there was a school. I got kicked out of a school in Missoula, Montana. And then we found a school in Hamilton, Montana, called Hamilton Taekwondo. And that's where I found my first real coach, was that martial arts instructor. So my mom would drop me off at martial arts, and instead of going in, I would stay in the parking lot and like play outside. And he watched this go on for a few days of practice, and then he came out to get me one day, and he's like, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be in class?" And I was like, "Nah." And he's like, "Nah, your name's John, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you're supposed to be in class." I was like, "And what are you gonna do?" Right? And he's like, "Oh, okay." And this guy's a Vietnam veteran. He's a 10th degree black belt, like world champion.
Nice.
And he's like, "Okay, this kid needs someone, right? A coach." And so he goes like head to head with me in the parking lot. And he's like, "Dude, if you think you're bad, come on into martial arts class. We'll see how bad you are."
Uh-huh.
And I love a challenge. So I was like, "All right." So I go in there and yeah, it was tough, but 3 months and I earned my first yellow belt and I was hooked. I was like, oh, like I can do something and like see a direct reward and personal development, like growth and working with a coach. And like it started at 7, 8 years old for me. And
Nice.
I did that for 15 plus years.
Nice.
So
you
yeah,
still practice, do anything with your taekwondo, go to the gym and do, katas or whatever?
I hit the bag still pretty frequently. I haven't trained or done old katas or any of that. I'm thinking about starting a women's self-defense class. I'm in talks with a nonprofit here in Spokane.
Nice.
About starting that up. It has a big special place in my heart, but I haven't trained in basically since I got back from the military.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I just got done with a podcast with another guy who was raised in a real difficult situation, and asked him, what did that create in you? What's the, and I keep thinking it's a superpower. I mentioned it that when you're raised, I keep using the term raised by wolves. My best friend Mike, he would say that, raised by wolves. They were raised by wolves, so it's kind of my little term of endearment. I was raised in a real nice family, but every once in a while you run into someone who's like raised by wolves, and I think there's the back end of that is something really special. I wonder how you describe it.
Yeah, my earliest memory of this was I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I'd been in martial arts for maybe a year. But when you're in school, you want to play school sports, right? My mom liked martial arts for me because it was year round. And so all year round after school, there was some place to put me because my mom was still up to her old ways, right? So the longer I wasn't at home, the better for her. And martial arts was year round, but my friends play baseball and football, and I had an interest in baseball. And so I go out and I play baseball, and I get on the team, and I show up to baseball practice, and all the other kids, their dads and brothers, are there playing catch, warming up with them, right?
Yeah.
And it's just me. And, they'd eventually look and be like, oh, come here. But like, they're all playing with their dad or their brother, and then there's me, right? And so I was like, this sucks. And then our first game came around. And so every practice was like that. And then our first game came around. And I remember hearing everyone's parents like sidebar with them before the game. Like, hey, I love you no matter what. Right? Like you can do this. And if you don't, it's okay. Like it did it. And they're getting these pep up, I love you speeches, no matter if you win, you lose. And I'm not getting a speech. There's not even somebody at the damn game.
Yeah.
Right. And so literally my earliest memory of like, I can like, this is a moment where I can perform. This is somewhere where I can like get attention basically was, I was like, okay. And I was small. My freshman year, I was 4'9", 98 pounds. So you can imagine me at 8, right? Small kid, but I'm fast. I'm real fast, fighting with my hands and on my feet. Like I'm quick. That's my sports superpower. And so I just remember thinking like, okay, you get love when you get home, regardless of whether you win or lose. But this is a game. These people are here to see someone win. They're here to cheer for someone. Yeah, you, Billy. But this is a game. There's 20 of us out here on 2 teams. They're not only here to cheer for you. So I was like, I'm going to take their love during this game. You get it when you get home. I don't know what I got when I get home. But I know that during this game, I can earn your family's love, respect, cheers, admiration. And so that's where like developing started for me. Now I had to get out of the ego of I'm going to do this for your parents' love or whatever. But where it started for me was like, oh, I have a moment where I can make a difference and potentially get this result. And the result I wanted was their parents' attention. being able to apply that same thing to business or life or dating or whatever. But that's where it started for me, is I have the power to earn their attention, love, and respect during this game, and I have this long to do it. And I got addicted. I was like, whoo, I could win all day. This is fun.
Oh, that's so cool. What a cool story. Oh my God. That's awesome. Great.
And I actually left team sports because of a similar feeling. And I had to come back to being a member of a team through the military and business. But I'd get so frustrated that like I would be dialed and like could have the best game of my life. And if the team wasn't dialed, I still lost. And in school, especially small town Montana, when you start to get into your teen years, kids are drinking and partying pretty young. I don't know if like the audience here has kids or whatever, but in small town Montana, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, like that's what we did in high school, right? And so I'd get pissed because I'd show up to a game Saturday or whatever, and half my team was hungover. And I'm like, we had a game today and you guys aren't going to play well. And now I don't get to go to state this year because you were hungover on 5 of our games. So I went full-time martial arts at like 14.
Interesting.
So that I could do a single sport where it was me. If I lost, I did something wrong or I wasn't up to the pace. So I had to come back to a team mentality, but
that's cool.
There was a lot of ego when I was a kid for sure.
That's good. So the next little phase of the podcast, I always like to talk about trouble and adversity and how it's shaped who we are and really given us grit, determination, whatever it is, like whatever, difficulty or trauma is maybe the wrong word, but maybe it's not, how it's built into something that we would celebrate now and say, no, that actually, I wouldn't go back and change that.
Mm-hmm. So hindsight's 2020, right? That's the problem. Is typically when you're deep in it, it's hard to see that this is, building something for you, or that this is something that you're going to get to lean on later. And so one of my mentors taught me that, nothing's ever as good as it seems. Nothing is ever as bad as it seems. It's always somewhere in the middle.
That sounds familiar.
Right. Yeah. And like, I've got a big yin yang tattooed on my back of like, there's good, there's bad, there's positive, there's negative, there's light, there's dark, there's like, right. So number one is like, if you're in dark times, literally by like changing your perspective and like where you're looking, you'll probably be able to find light somewhere. Number one. Number two is like, the darkness is going to teach you more than the light ever will. And so at my age, I'm a high school dropout, ran away from home, have the childhood that I had, but all my friends that had decent childhoods, graduated high school, went to college, a lot of them are back at the hometown working jobs that have nothing to do with their degree. They aren't growing and developing. They aren't like, right. They're just working a job they could have done without ever going to college.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm over here constantly growing, developing, investing in businesses, companies, and I'm like, what is the difference? And to me, I lived hard for 25 years ish before things started getting like, okay, better, right?
Yeah.
So to me, all the hard stuff that comes with like staying in shape, it's not that hard. Like today I didn't work out at my ideal time. I had to work out at lunch and then rush lunch so I could do an interview, do this podcast, do a nighttime interview. But like, I still had to go get the gym thing done because to me, that's going to help build my health. My podcast is Healthy, Wealthy People. So I got to take care of my health first.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, that's just like, okay, I have to do that. But somebody else might go, oh, today was too busy, so I didn't go to the gym. Well, I had to fit it in somewhere. Yeah. Right. I'm in control of my schedule. Not everybody gets that luxury. But like, I understand that the hard at the gym is going to mean health long term, right? And I want to live a long, healthy life with my wife and kids. So I got to go to the gym. I got to do this thing I've committed to do for my long-term health.
Right.
If it's in business, if I want to, have wealth, if I want to pay off debt, if I want to invest in things, I need money. Where does money come from? Having uncomfortable conversations with people who aren't expecting to have them with me, trying to sell them something that I think might be of value to them, mostly, right?
Yeah.
So, are you willing to go out and have a bunch of people tell you, no, I don't want to give you any money, to have a few people tell you yes, so that you can have the money to do the things you want to do?
Right.
Most people are so obsessed with choosing easy and then getting pissed when they live hard, when if they just chose hard, they'd live easy. And to me, I'm just like, my life taught me that. I say all the time, like, I wouldn't change any of what I went through. Do I wish I had a more loving, nurturing childhood? Yeah. But then I look at everyone else who had a loving, nurturing child, and I do not want their current life.
Yeah.
I look at my current life and I'm like, yes, I want this. Oh, I learned how to deal with toughness.
Yeah.
I got punched in the face by life. Then I got into martial arts, got punched in the face for 20 years. Then I joined the military, got punched in the face by my drill sergeants in the war zone. And so being back home in my house, doing what I want to do when I want to do it, is not something that like any day I look at as big and challenging. But you got to do challenging things. And sometimes you have to add adversity to your life. So like cold plunging is a big thing right now.
I love cold showers. Every day I take a cold shower. Every single day. I never miss one.
Do you want to?
I love it. I don't love the shower. I hate the moment that I have to turn it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
That's what I'm saying.
But I tell you, the moment that I can turn it off, I'm so happy. It changed my life. It dramatically changed my life. It's been, next to Jesus, my wife, and my son, there's nothing been more impactful than cold showers.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Reduces stress, inflammation, all these different things, inclusive blood flow, right? But do you want to sit in ice cold water for 30 minutes or 30 seconds to 3 minutes? Probably not.
It's funny. I just got back from house sitting out in the valley, and my friend's cold is colder than our cold. And I was like, shit, man, this is really cold. It's terrible.
Good.
But no, cold plunge is my new favorite. Like, it's changed my whole life. Energy. It just feels like I'm less foggy.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I have more energy. When I go to a meeting, I feel like I show up with more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even the podcast in the day, as I go out through the day, I feel more alert and sharp. So yeah, it's the best.
There's a 10-second decision window. Do I turn it cold?
Oh, I never think. Go.
But that's the problem. Most people think.
No, I never think.
Right?
It's like turning around too. In the shower, I've decided I'm going to turn around and get in the back, because it's really cool. Once you turn around, I'm like, I'm never hesitating. I learned that from a podcast somewhere. Don't hesitate, just do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my
good.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Because most people hesitate.
I don't want to hesitate.
And it's that 10 seconds. Once it goes cold, you're like, and then you're like, okay, I can do this. This is, I don't want to be here, but it's not. And then it's a 30-second to 90-second or whatever your time limit is. You do the full 3 minutes. Yeah. It's a 3-minute commitment.
Yeah.
It's this long.
And it changes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
In business,
it's
cold calling, the moment you're worried about is 25 seconds long. I'm not kidding. The moment I do direct sales, so I'm talking about walking in somewhere. If I walk into a business, the worst part is from the moment I park in their parking lot, as I'm walking to the door, because I don't know what I'm walking into, opening the door, seeing how they react when I walk in, and then, hey, my name's, and seeing what the energy exchange is, that 25 seconds is what holds most people back from selling. But once you go, hey, and they're like, hey, what's up? And you're like, oh, they're not screaming at me. You're like, my name's John. And they're like, cool, man, what are you doing here? And you're like, why are they not doing everything I thought they were going to do in my head? Because you created a ridiculous outcome with your anxiety that was never going to happen, that held you back from walking in. You decided it was going to be horrible to turn that thing to cold. You were like, I don't want to cook the chicken breast. So you got, like, people's lives are horrible because of the 10 to 30 second decisions that they hesitate on all day long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Hey, I wanted to stop this video and just say a lot of salespeople I know, they know there's another level. They know the product, they like the people, they really believe in what they sell. But when the pressure hits, a lot of salespeople, they lose their conviction, they lose their nerve, they hesitate on cold outreach, they lay down or even back off with a simple objection. They fail to confidently lead people towards a decision. I coach salespeople. Send me a quick text, 509-999-3305. I'm in your corner. Let's get together. That's good. That's good. All right. You're like one of my first podcast interview that has had, not the first or only, but one of the few that have had real coaching relationships. Tell me how coaching has mattered for you. How has it, really helped you progress, succeed, grow?
yeah. So shout out all my coaches, and I'll name a few. So that first martial arts coach, Chris Devine, actually became my adopted father.
No kidding.
So
I was gonna wonder, like, the name's the same there, dude.
Yep. So trained me for 10 years, and then right before I deployed to Afghanistan, legally adopted me. I ran away from home at 15. And so martial arts was still the place I went, and they knew that I had run away. And so they would invite me over for family dinners, and then they'd invite me over for holidays, and then they'd invite me. So before I deployed, they were like, hey, we feel like you're a member of the family. What about you? So that was my first real coach, became my father and family, right?
Nice.
When I left to the military, I did not have a good unit, but I had one good sergeant, David Bergner, and without him, I would have had a very different journey through the military. But he saw that I wanted to work hard. He saw I wanted to do a good job. He saw my attention to detail. He saw number one in physical fitness in our whole unit. And so, but I went through a rough childhood. I had a smart mouth, and I was okay with being punished in the military. What are you going to do? Make me work out? Like, let's go. So they'd be trying to intimidate or whatever, and I wouldn't take it. And so I'd talk back, and then I'd have these huge punishments, and Dave would come around and make sure that, my head was in the right place. And he'd tell me to watch what I say and fly low and under the radar, but he was always there for me, even though I didn't do it. Had my back a couple of times when I went too hard talking back. So great coach. The military would have kept me as an E1 my whole career without him. So his guidance was great. When I left the military, I swore I'd never work for anyone again. I started my first business, Divine Fitness, and was a personal trainer. And my first client, I got lucky, had developed a big business and did some business coaching on the side. And so I'm 21, and he recognized that I didn't really want to be a personal trainer. I wanted to be a business owner. And so he started coaching me almost immediately to get into sales, but I loved the gym. I loved working out. And so he helped me build a good fitness business, but every week he'd tell me, hey, you ready to get into sales? And I'd be like, no. I was 21, 22, 23, 24. And I'm like, I loved working out. I'm young, girls in the gym, right? I'm making $100 an hour in Colorado to lift weights. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Sales? But he just kept pushing on me. Sales, 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 sales. And then he kept saying, if you're smart, you'll get into a game that has residual commissions, residual income, mailbox money. It's like, what is this guy smoking? Like, all right, dude. And then my grandfather went through leukemia in 2016, and I started learning about insurance, and I learned about supplemental insurance. And so I found this company that offered a really good product that would have helped my grandfather, and I was like, huh. So I got out of personal training and completely changed my career, and started selling supplemental insurance because it was a good product. It was sales, and it had a residual income that in 5 years you own your book of business, vested ownership. And I was like, I could own my book in 5 years. It's sales. If I hate it, after 5 years, I'll be 30. This is almost 10 years ago now. I was like, if I hate it, I'll be 30. And by 30, I was doing pretty well. So I was like, oh, this is good. So he was a great coach. And then throughout this business, I've had countless good coaches, sales coaches, recruiting coaches. And then my number one coach of all time was my therapist, Brandon Spangler, because there isn't an amount of business or sales or whatever that you'll be able to accomplish if you don't get out of your own way with your own ideas and stuck points and emotions. So yeah, I worked with my therapist for 6.5 years now. And I just keep learning. Nice. So, but I don't have parents. My mom, her and I don't really talk. I love her, but she's just stuck in her ways. And my dad and I, we've had one conversation over a Zoom call. Didn't like who he is presently. Obviously, didn't like who he was as a child. I didn't know him. So I don't have parents. I don't have uncles. I don't have, I'm not religious. I don't have a church. I don't have all I've ever had is coaches, people that were willing to work with me, even though they had no real tie to me. So yeah, coaches changed my life. Without coaches, I don't know. I'd probably be just like my mom and dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about is the selling process.
Yeah.
And you're heavily into sales. You're a full-time professional salesperson. You're a sales trainer. What in the sales process is your favorite, most sort of enthusiastically, go after?
The thing I love most about sales, I can't do in my business. I love negotiating. It is one of my all-time favorite activities, but I like negotiating for a different reason of other people. I like two people talking. You have value, I have value. We figure out a way that we can work together and add value, and then we figure out a payment that works for both people. Like in real estate, I negotiate all of my purchases, furniture. I'm like, I want all your furniture in the deal, and then we go from there. I've sold properties where the buyer ended up renting for me for a couple of months. My recent property I bought by offering a rental deal because we needed to get in because they needed to get out. So I love negotiating. I don't really get to negotiate in insurance, which is unfortunate. But I would say my favorite thing about what I do in sales is just learning about people. I work business to business. And so number one, learning about people, again, why I like podcasting. And number two, learning about people's businesses and what they do and how they add to our economy and, what value they add, and learning about their business and then seeing if I can add value to their business. If I can, great. But I have probably done more business and referrals for things I'll never see a paycheck or a commission or anything for. But I solved this person's problem because I met this person while I was cold calling. They didn't buy from me. I didn't buy from them, but I knew what they did. I meet this guy 6 months later. And I'm like, oh, dude, I actually met this guy. And it's because I was out working. Yeah. And I learned about this guy's business. And then this other guy I meet, I'm like, oh, and I solve $100,000 problem for him because I was cold calling 6 months ago.
Oh, that's cool.
So I like the puzzle of like being engaged in my community, being a part of my economy, and figuring out how we all work together to make this thing that in Spokane is Spokane, in or in San Diego is San Diego, but like your area that you drive around and eat in, that's held together by business owners and coaches and chefs and entrepreneurs and salespeople, and that's what I love, is figuring out how we all work together.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you think in the sales process you generally struggle more than anything else?
I've got my sales process pretty dialed. I close like 80+%. I would say in general, what people struggle with is two parts. Part one is people buy people, not products and corporations. So people get really tied up in their product or their thing or their whatever. Yeah. And like really, if your product or your thing solves a problem for me, great. I just want to make sure that I want you to solve that problem. If I'm buying a Toyota and my salesperson is frankly a dick, there's another Toyota dealership.
Right.
I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you think this is the only place to buy a Toyota?
Right.
Like, it's not even the only place to buy a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Like, you're not that important. So make friends, be kind, connect, see how you can add value before you're showing this product, because people buy people. They want to make sure they want to do business with you.
Yeah.
There's some countries, not America, but there's some countries like France and Sweden and these places where customary, if we're going to do business, we do what you and I did, and we sit down and we talk for 15 or 20 minutes and we get to know each other. And how did you grow up? And I want to make sure I want to do business with this person.
Right.
So most people overlook that we're in the people business. I'm not in the insurance business. I'm in the people business. I provide people insurance. You're not in the coaching business. You're in the people business. You provide people coaching, right? So understanding that you're in the people business, and then 2, understanding that sales is problem solving.
Yeah.
Most people think sales is sales. Sales is problem solving, and not everyone you're talking to has your problem, and not everyone you're talking to realizes they have your problem.
Right.
That's my product's issue. Nobody thinks they need my product. I have to talk to them and get them to realize, oh God, if that happened, I'm not prepared.
Right.
Right. But you weren't thinking about that about an hour ago, were you? No. So I have to help you realize you have the problem that my product solves.
Right.
Then you'll buy my product because you have the problem. I tell people all the time, you don't have a toothbrush because you're passionate about toothbrushes. You have a toothbrush because you want clean teeth.
Yeah.
The toothbrush cleans the teeth. You're not overly particular, unless you're a Sonicare user. You're not overly particular about what brand of toothbrush you use.
Oh, that's funny.
It's just a toothbrush. I need clean teeth. A broom. I need a clean floor. So if you realize that people buy people and you can connect with someone, and then you realize that people don't buy products, they buy solutions. So you pitch problems, not products.
Right.
Now sales becomes easy.
Yeah. Who do you like on YouTube? Who do you watch or follow, that sales trainers that you like?
It depends on the content. If we're talking about just direct sales, Alex Hormozy is
he's brilliant
right now, unparalleled. There's a lot of sales trainers out there that teach you like sales tricks and sales this. Like Hormozy uses psychology and principles and facts and systems, not like, oh, if I position you in the chair this way, then you're those kind of like sales. Yeah, but most people can usually feel that something is happening, right? Like chair positioning in somebody's house. If you go to the dining table and you sit at the head of the chair where the husband is 90% chance going to sit because you want to take the power of the household.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a big one in
Is that right?
people that do C2C direct home sales.
Oh, okay.
And so little stuff like that. And then it's like, if I see you, like there's a girl who sold in our company for a while, and she would walk into somebody's office and she would sit in their chair behind the desk.
Ballsy anyways.
9 years of sales. I've never tried anything like that. Because to me, I'm like, again, I'm trying to solve a problem for you.
Yeah, it's about pain resolve.
If I solve the problem, then you'll buy the product.
Right.
And if you don't like my price, if I tell you you can get the problem solved for a worse or not as efficiently or whatever, that's why you're paying a cheaper price, you'll be willing to pay a higher price. Or if I have a lower price for you, I can service you, but it'll cost this, right?
Nice.
So like I big on Hormozy because he teaches like fundamentals and psychology and like real problem solving, business building, data solution. I like Gary Vee if you can handle his mouth, which I can, for marketing. I don't think there's anybody better out there for marketing. I would say sales and marketing. You probably can't beat those two.
Nice.
Old school, like Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, he's fun.
Dude, Zig's the OG, man. So I was listening to Zig today. So there's some old ones. Grant Cardone is great, just in sales, business, really real estate.
Have you watched any of Story Brand, Donald Miller?
No, I have heard of him though.
Really good.
I have heard of Story Brand, not necessarily Donald Miller, but
Yeah, he's
Story
really good.
Brand.
All right, moving on. We talked earlier about whether you were going to pitch your product or whether you were going to pitch, looking for salespeople. I guess I'll just open the floor. What do you want to? There's people watching. Maybe not as many as your podcast. But,
Hey, doesn't matter.
Right?
One listener is all that matters.
I wonder if there's someone out there that's listening that might either be interested in your product or interested in a sales position or whatever you want to pitch.
Yeah, from a product standpoint, we sell supplemental insurance. So if you run a small business, like last week, I worked with like 7 small businesses. They provide their supplemental insurance to their guys because they can't afford health insurance right now. They have 3 to 10 guys. So health insurance premiums, $800 to $1,000 a month. But they can provide accident, cancer supplemental plans for $100, $50. Some of my clients pay for their guys to have insurance. So you can set your staff up and provide benefits for them for something that's affordable for you and still beneficial from them. But on the business side, I hire independent contractor 1099 salespeople, and I train you how to sell our insurance business to business. The benefit for you of selling insurance is, like I said, my business coach told me to get into sales with residual income. And so when you're in insurance, like I've got clients from 9 years ago that are still on the books and pay their premiums every month. So I make commissions from 9 years ago, 8 years ago, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and this year. I've got a sales force, same thing. All of their sales I get residuals on from 7 years ago to now. So it's residual income, meaning time freedom. It takes a while to build up your book of business, but unlike something like real estate where you have to sell and you get a big check, but it might take you 9 months to make that sale, and then you got to make another sale. In insurance, eventually, if you don't want to, you don't have to keep making sales and the money keeps rolling in. The problem with most insurance companies is you don't own that book of business. So as long as you're with the company, they'll pay you the commissions, but once you leave, that's their book of business. Well, at our company, after 2 years, you get 50% vested ownership, and then it grows to year 5, it's 100% vested ownership, meaning at this stage, if I wanted to leave and go sell real estate, every month on the 15th, my 9-year book of business continues to pay me for as long as all those clients are on the books. So vested ownership of the book of business is the true key to freedom, because now if I want to leave and go do something else, I can. But if you can tell, after 9 years, business is still good. So I got no plans of going anywhere. So if you guys want to learn how to build a residual income that you own, you can reach out.
All right. I wanted contact information first. I'll put it in a little banner at the bottom here. Your podcast, how would someone find it? How can they find you? Listen, YouTube, I don't know. Spotify, I don't know. You just tell me and I'll put it right on the bottom here.
Yeah, so we are on all platforms at wealthy.people. So healthy, wealthy people. Our biggest platform is Spotify. That's where most of our listeners are, but we're on every platform out there. You can also find us online at healthywealthypeople.com, or my insurance company. You can find a link to the podcast as well. That's Divinity Group LLC, DIVINITY Group LLC.com. And if you go there, there's a page for the podcast as well.
Nice. And what about your day job, your insurance? If someone wants to get a hold of you, become an agent in California, can they do that, or wherever they are?
Yep. So I've got a friend of mine from Missouri who is starting in like 2 weeks. We used to live not together, but in the same town in Montana. Now I live in Spokane. She lives in Missouri, and she's decided she wants to come do this. So I am the regional director for the Pacific Northwest. So I primarily hire through Western Montana, Northern Idaho, Washington, and Northern Oregon. However, if you live in Nevada or California or Arizona or Louisiana, you can work with us. And if you end up getting here because we talked, but I end up referring you to a agency that's closer to you. Like, let's say you were in Louisiana. I'm connected through the whole country. So if it didn't mean working with me, I could get you with an agency close to you. So that would be at Divinity Group, DIVINITY Group, LLC.com/our team. There's a recruiting video right there at the top. I think it's 6 minutes long. Just talks about what we do and how we do it. And then there's an application right below that video where you can fill out like 6 questions and attach your resume.
Nice. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
Yeah,
this was a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Alec at Coaching the Red Line. If you know a salesperson, I'd love to have a conversation. We'll see you next time.
Later.